how do you get a cheap cruise? It's a great question. And honestly, I could spend like hours talking about this, but there's a couple things you want to do. Number one, you want to book as early as you can. Number two, are you talking about you want a cheap price out the door, or do you want a cheap price per night? Those are two usually different things. They're somewhat mutually exclusive. Not necessarily the case, but they tend to be. What I mean by that is there are ways to get a cheap 3-night cruise, which will probably be cheap in the here's your final price cost, as opposed to, maybe a 7, 10, 14-night cruise in which the per night cruise is cheaper than the 3-night cruise. But regardless of which one you want to book as early as you can. The earlier you book the cruise, the better your price will be. If you can book your cruise 12, 16, 18, 24 months ahead of time, you can really net some amazing prices. I think that's number one. Number two, you want to keep watching them for deals. People cancel all the time. Prices can change hourly, by the minute, in fact. So, we want to keep an eye on that. And that's why one of my favorite strategies is book early and then reprice often. Take advantage of price drops before your cruise. Granted, some countries don't allow this anymore, with Cruise with Confidence program being gone, but something to keep in mind, especially if you're from the United States or Canada. That's an option there for you. But a lot of it is really just also timing, cruise, when you go on your cruise. There are much better deals during the times of year in which no one else can cruise. The month of January, outside of New Year's holiday, as aside from that, is an incredibly cheap time to go on a cruise. The month of September, the month of October, the first 2 weeks of February, the first 2 weeks of December. What do those all have in common? Kids are back in school. There's less demand for them. So, how crowded are the ships right now? Thank you very much, and best regards. Good question, Horatio. So there's a couple factors in play. The cruises right now, the capacity has been going up. I was on Oasis of the Seas, Horatio, on the 3-night cruise over the weekend. Granted, weekend cruises are different, 7-night cruises, but we were at 92% capacity. And when I was on Wonder of the Seas, we had pretty high capacity as well. So those numbers are going up. But also keep in mind a couple factors. Number one, spring break is on the downswing. This is the last full week of spring break. Once you get to Easter, spring break is over. And of course, what happens on Liberty out of Galveston may be different than what's happening here in Florida and a variety of other places. So there's no way to know exactly what to expect. But here's what I will say, Horatio. I would not expect to go on Liberty of the Seas on Sunday with like 50 or 60% capacity. You're probably going to be in that 70 to 90% if I had to guess. But I don't have no one knows ahead of time. Until you get on board the ship, you simply won't know what to expect on your sailing. Would you say is the best thing to do on Allure of the Seas the most fun? Well, shoot. I mean, it depends what you define as fun, I guess. Some people, you've got the zip line. You've got Mamma Mia, the Broadway musical. I love that. I'd probably lean towards Mamma Mia. Here we go again. My. Anyway, you've got awesome dining on board. You've got the flow rider. So it kind of depends what you define as fun. But I think seeing Mamma Mia is definitely the top of my list right there. What's Brilliance of the Seas like? I went on Brilliance of the Seas every year. I just went on Brilliance back in early February, late January. Loved it. It was fantastic. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles like of the bigger ships, but it's a fun ship to go on. We have an 8-night Bermuda cruise on Mariner. Was wondering if any suggestions for the 3 days, Dr. Bermuda. Yeah. So day one, I would go to Horseshoe Bay. That's the pink sand beach. Take a bus over there, the public bus. Horseshoe Bay, number one. Number two, day two. Take the water taxi over to Hamilton and explore. Hamilton's the city there. It's a beautiful city. Shopping, dining, do a little bit there. And then day three, you have a couple of choices. If you want to do some history, some culture, I take the ferry up to St. George. Otherwise, you go to hit up another beach. That might be a good way to do it right there. What perks can I expect the owner suite? Well, priority embarkation, bigger room. You'll get upgraded toiletries in your cabin. You probably already knew all that. The concierge lounge is where you're really talking about, Eric. You're going to have access to the concierge lounge, which means also access to the concierge themselves. So that means complimentary drinks. And when I say drinks, I'm talking about non-alcoholic and alcoholic drinks every day of the cruise. You're also going to have access to special seating, reserved seating on the pool deck. So does using Next Cruise really save you the most on, your next cruise? Great question. It doesn't actually save any money, and it's kind of weird. So the price you pay at Next Cruise is where you can book a cruise on board your ship. The price you pay online or on board is exactly the same at the time of booking. What Next Cruise gets you is extra onboard credit and a reduced deposit. So they'll give you free onboard credit. Now, if you're you have 33 days till Oasis of the Seas. If you know today or tomorrow or next week that you want to book a cruise, I would tell you to contact your travel agent and book it then. But scary, if you're on board Oasis in 33 days, you're having a great time, and you say, you know what, I would love to book another cruise right now, then yes, next cruise will get you free onboard credit. But don't wait to book it on board, because if you wait to book it on board, the price can go up. And if the price goes up, it can negate any potential savings you'd have with that onboard credit. So I just don't recommend waiting for that one. How soon do you think we get info on to book on Icon? I think it'll be coming out here either this month or next month, from what I'm hearing from Royal Caribbean. Let's see on that. But we did an interview with Royal Caribbean Group Chief Innovation Officer Jay Schneider back in March, and he said the next 2 months we should have more information about Icon. So fingers crossed, we'll be getting that soon. I hear that you can make partial payments through our travel agent. Is that true? Can you shed any light on it? Yeah, so there's a brand new update that came out today. Brett, I posted about it at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. It's right on our homepage. But Royal Caribbean announced if you book through a travel agent, which you already did because you used MEI Travel, thank you, you can arrange for scheduled payments. Now, Brett, this is not new in the sense that you can always make payments before your final payment date. That's not new. What's new today is you can actually schedule those payments. You can tell your travel agent, hey, schedule $500, $100, whatever, every week, month, whatever, at certain intervals, and they can schedule it to be automatic. And that's a tool for travel agents. It's a brand new thing, came out today, and there's more information about that at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. So, yeah, if you want to pay off those group cruises incrementally and easily, your travel agent can do that very easily for you on your behalf. And you can change your mind later on. It's not like, if you need to rearrange things, no problem at all. What cruises sail from Cape Liberty? Anthem of the Seas sails out of there most of the time. Oasis of the Seas is coming up in May. That'll be offering summer cruises out of there. I know Adventure is coming out. It depends on the season, Andrew. But usually there's at least one ship sailing out of there, and that's almost always the Anthem of the Seas. Love that. My husband and I are going to Southern Caribbean ABC Islands in August on our first cruise on Mariner. Any must-do excursions or sites to see? In Aruba, you want to go to Palm Beach or Eagle Beach? Bonaire, I would rent a golf cart. You can Google Bonaire golf cart rentals and just drive around the island. It's a lot of fun. Curacao, I would go. You can walk downtown from your ship. You dock that close, do a little shopping, a little dining, and then go to Mambo Beach for the afternoon when it's a little too hot over there. What do the concierge actually do for you? It's kind of like having a genie, Daryl. They can schedule dining. They can schedule entertainment. They can answer a lot of questions. They're kind of like your own guest services, right? But like, whereas the genie applies to you and a couple families, the concierge is more, it's for everybody who's staying in a suite right there. But they're very good. I mean, some are better than others, obviously, just like the genies. But they took care of all of our bookings ahead of time. They email you ahead of time. So it's just not as personalized as the genie, but it's still an efficient way to plan your cruise and kind of have a little spiked up right there, like that. How safe are the ports and excursions for women traveling alone? It's a great question, Amelia. Obviously there is no place in the world that is risk-free. There are risks with everything. But I think what you want to do is book a group tour, a reputable tour. Certainly booking with a cruise line is a good idea. But make sure any tour you book is reputable. If you're going through the cruise line, you can assume that's the case. But if you're doing anything on your own, you want to make sure that you're booking a reputable tour and that you're taking proper precautions. You're not doing anything that you wouldn't do in a U.S. city, quite frankly, if you were alone. So, be vigilant about your safety. Book group tours if you're worried about it. That's probably a good way to go about it right there. Advice for going on a cruise in Alaska in August will be too chilly and rainy. No, August is really the peak of what is summer in Alaska. Will it rain? Maybe, but rain is usually very quick up in Alaska. The weather in general, Sarah, varies quite a bit. It may start off cold and rainy. Sun comes out. There's afternoon shower. Sun comes out again. It really runs the gamut. But no, it'll be, I think, in fact, you'll find it probably warmer than you're probably expecting, because July and August are the peak of the summer months up there. So the temperatures could get in the 70s, quite frankly. What do you think the chances are the Utopia will be from the U.S.? I think, in general, pretty darn good, Keith. I mean, yeah, I know what you're thinking. Maybe we'll go to Asia because Wonder didn't go there. It's too early to know about that, but I would just simply say there's always a good chance a new ship will debut from the U.S., quite frankly. Do points earned on Celebrity and Royal Caribbean add on the Crown and Anchor? No. You can, it's kind of interesting, Paul. You can earn Crown and Anchor status. So if you have status with Crown and Anchor Society, Celebrity will honor your status from Crown and Anchor and give you an equivalent status at Captain's Club. Similarly, if you had a status with Celebrity, didn't have status with Royal Caribbean, your Captain's Club status comes over to Crown and Anchor. Great. But as you cruise with one or the other, your point totals still remain at wherever they were beforehand. So you don't, as an example, Paul, if you're Diamond and Crown and Anchor and you match status in Celebrity, you don't get points added on from there. And no, you can't go on a random celebrity cruise and then add those points instead over to your Crown Anchor sighting. It doesn't work that way. Is it worth purchasing a suite on a 4-night cruise, which in many cases is the price of a 7-night cruise? I just did a suite on a 3-night cruise. And, when you're staying in a suite in general, it's not a question of, is every dollar I spend here going to be worth it in the sense I'm getting it all back in value? No, it's a splurge. It's a way to treat yourself. And so is it worth it? Well, I really like staying in a suite on a 3-night cruise. I definitely paid a lot more than I would have for a balcony, but I felt that it was worth it because we wanted to have a little something special. My wife was with me, no kids. You know what? We enjoy that. And that was a nice little splurge to do right there. So, obviously this comes down to your budget, right? What can you afford? And alternatively, if Josh Carruthers was here, Josh would say, you could probably take that money and book 2 different cruises. Now, if you can afford 2 cruises no matter what, okay, well, whatever. But, if it's the difference cameraman fail of, hey, I can afford either to do 1 cruise in a suite here on a 4-nighter or 2 cruises if I book balconies or something else, then I would do 2 cruises instead. So hope it makes sense. We'll be live again next Monday right here on YouTube. If you have more questions, please feel free to type your questions over on our message boards at royalcaribbeanblog.com. Until our next live broadcast, thank you everybody for joining us here. Have a great rest of your week. Stay safe out there. Do something fun. That's important as well. And we'll talk again very soon right here on YouTube. Bye, everybody.